The Tempest, Miranda and Prospero, Innocence and Experience. In this video, I want to examine two short speeches, one of them very short indeed, that appear towards the end of Shakespeare's final play, The Tempest. The first speech is spoken by Miranda, the 15-year-old daughter of the main character in the play, Prospero, and the second is by Prospero himself in response to what his daughter has just said. Here are the speeches. Oh wonder! How many goodly creatures are there here! How beauteous mankind is! O brave new world that has such people in it! 'Tis new to thee. Note that when I gave you those lines, I paused in order to mark off Prospero's very short speech. It's only 4 words long, though in actual stage performance it would follow Miranda's words pretty much immediately. By the way, don't worry if you think you'll forget the lines. I'll be repeating them at various points during my talk. Obviously, the context of the speeches needs to be understood if they're to yield their meaning to us. We have come to the finale of the play, where all the various characters who've so far been scattered across a small and isolated island are now gradually assembling. Miranda has just emerged from a concealed location on stage in which she and Ferdinand, the man she's betrothed to, have been playing chess and exchanging lovers' talk. She's just emerged and now witnesses what to her is the very surprising, extraordinary sight of a group of people she's never seen before. I'll give you her lines again. Oh wonder! How many goodly creatures are there here! How beauteous mankind is! O brave new world that has such people in it! This speech of Miranda's is characterised by the word she uses at the start when she says, "Oh wonder." Miranda's actual name derives from a Latin verb, mirari, that means to wonder. She's already been described as a wonder when first seen by her lover Ferdinand, and now, in what is her last speech in the play, she's expressing a state of wonder, that is, amazed delight and admiration, wonder at what she is seeing. The words "oh wonder" are an exclamation, the first of 4 exclamations that make up her speech. When she goes on to say, "How many goodly creatures are there here?" she isn't asking a question, but exclaiming at the number of fine people she's seeing, as in the modern idiom, "How amazing is that?" And this also applies to the next exclamation, "How beauteous mankind is." In her final exclamation, she reverts to the rhetorical "oh" that she started with, and her concluding words have become the most well-known ones in the whole play. "Oh, brave new world that has such people in it." Note how the 3 adjectives that Miranda uses to characterise the new human world that she's admiring are all adjectives that express a sense of outward physical attractiveness. The word beauteous is obviously such a word, and so too is goodly. Less obvious is the adjective brave, which has its pre-modern meaning of splendid to look at, spectacular. We need to appreciate that all the people she's describing are of high status. One is actually a king, and Shakespeare would have intended this to be marked on stage by their dress, which would be very impressive to behold, especially to someone like Miranda, who's led her brief life in homespun rustic seclusion. What I'm pointing out is that Miranda's reacting to the surface appearance of this group and judging them very favourably indeed by this surface appearance. Her judgment therefore does not go deep, and she's totally unaware that 2 of the group are out and out villains, both potential murderers in fact. One of these villains is the man, her uncle, who usurped her father's dukedom and cast both her father and herself, as a helpless infant, adrift in a small boat on the open seas. A third figure in the group, the one who's a king, actually supplied armed force to aid and abet Miranda's evil uncle. So he can be counted as having been a villain also, though by this time in the play he has become ashamed of his wrongdoing and wishes to put things right. Of the remaining people that Miranda's now viewing so favourably, one is a genuinely good man, and two others are minor figures whose characters have not been developed, and so cannot be classed decisively as belonging to good or bad. To sum up, out of a group of 6 people that she now sees for the first time, 2 are evil men, and 1 has acted evil in the past. For Miranda, though, all are alike in their beauteous and splendid appearance, all alike to be unreservedly admired as creatures of a new world that is blessedly opening up before her. Miranda's lack of awareness of the moral defects in this group of people can be readily understood. She simply doesn't know who they are, and I'm not saying that she should be blamed for her ignorance as such. She also has the defence that she's in a state of great happiness, with everything to look forward to in her life. She's met a man whom she loves and who loves her in return, and her betrothal to him is very much approved of by her father. In addition, she's just witnessed her young man being lovingly reunited with his own father, and she naturally partakes in their happiness. What I am saying is that Miranda's view of things has all the hopefulness, innocence, and naivety of youth. Delightful in itself, but a highly partial and limited view of the human condition as a whole. There's a similarity here with the poet William Wordsworth's ecstatic lines about the early days of the French Revolution. Bliss was it in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven. Wordsworth was to change his mind about the revolution after Robespierre's great terror of mass arrest and slaughter. For Wordsworth, wide-eyed innocence would be followed and chastened by hard experience. It's very relevant here to point out that Miranda's phrase, "Brave New World," has become the most famous phrase in The Tempest, not the least because the writer Aldous Huxley in the 1930s took it as the ironic title for his brilliant dystopian novel, Brave New World. Shakespeare's Miranda is obviously not speaking ironically when she gushes ecstatically, "Oh, brave new world that has such people in it." No, irony is essentially foreign to innocence like hers. Huxley's title draws on Miranda's innocence in that it has all the sound of her youthful ecstatic admiration of a new world, but Huxley intends the title ironically because this new world is not the paradise, not the utopia that it purports to be. And this is why we come to Prospero and his very brief response to Miranda's 4 delighted exclamations. I'll give you her words again, followed by his. "Oh wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here! How beauteous mankind is! O brave new world that has such people in it! 'Tis new to thee." In the printed text, Prospero's short reply is half a line of blank verse that comes straight after a half line of verse that finishes Miranda's speech, so making a complete line of 10 syllables. It's as though Shakespeare's showing us that Miranda's words are all very fine, all very well, but that her picture is incomplete, and the necessary completion to it is given by her father. From a 15-year-old girl, we move to a father in late middle age, early old age. A father who has experienced betrayal, usurpation, physical suffering, mental anguish, and near death. Miranda was protected from all of this by complete ignorance of it, as she was an infant at the time. For Prospero, the world is not new, as it is to Miranda, but tested in the crucible of time and found to be no earthly paradise, but a blend of evil and good. Shakespeare's genius is clearly evident in his creation of this dramatic moment in the play. He first gives the stage to the young, beautiful Miranda, who speaks freely to the company at large in language that is intense, rhapsodic, and overtly rhetorical in its series of high-flown exclamations. As we listen to her ringing words, we're caught up in her wonder and delight, but we're immediately given the necessary balance and correction in the very plain and simple utterance of her father. The language used by Prospero makes a striking contrast to Miranda's high-flown rhapsody. His speech is very short, 4 words compared to over 20 from Miranda. It is monosyllabic, "'tis new to thee," and beginning with a colloquial contraction, the word "'tis," its vocabulary level is of the simplest, most ordinary kind, all perfectly suited to bringing things down to earth and injecting a note of realism. On stage, I think we should see Prospero's words delivered very differently from Miranda's. She speaks openly and loudly to all, but he steps to her side and speaks quietly to her alone. If he can be said to be correcting or even rebuking her, he does so as a father, speaking gently in his daughter's ear, as indicated by his use of the intimate, singular second-person pronoun thee. In modern English, he's saying affectionately but also seriously, "It's new to you, my dear." If Prospero's words are a message to his daughter at this point near the end of the play, they also say something to us. His message is, be careful when you rhapsodize about mankind's noble qualities and the brave new worlds that man can supposedly bring into being, because nothing is new under the sun, and both evil and good are present in every group of people and within the heart of every human being. Thank you for listening.